Paris is this Saturday. We have Nasruddin Imavov taking on Borralho to determine who most likely will take on Khamzat Chimaev next for the middleweight championship. And in today's video, I will be breaking down each fight and giving you my picks and predictions for this weekend's fight night taking place in Paris. A bonjour, a oui. Is Macron a man? I don't know. But we will not find out that in this video. Starting off, I made a video yesterday because breaking down Shauna Bannon and Sam Hughes would just take too long for this video. So I went ahead and posted the 2.5 hour breakdown of this top tier battle we have here on the OnlyFans, Seen All MMA, $69 a month. Go subscribe if you want the real hardcore takes. And I have a big hardcore take about this fight, but I will not be giving it in this video. So we're going to start with a very, oh my gosh, did not mean to do that. Zoomed in hard, huh? The most underrated fight on this card, which is Andreas Gustafsson and Hernat Fakhretdinov. And I will be taking Andreas Gustafsson. Every fight I've seen with Hernat, he kind of just, except for like the Kevin Lee fight, which Kevin Lee was so washed when that fight happened, he kind of just wins barely. A lot of 29-20. Okay, dude. Okay, Doug. I'm making a video. I'm taking Andreas Gustafsson to beat Hernat Fakhretdinov. I don't think Hernat's cardio is that good, and I think Andreas is going to leave everything out in the octagon and push a pace that Hernat will not be able to keep up with. And I think he also has the striking advantage, and I think he'll just wear on him in the clinch and land some very short, tight, and hard shots, against Hernat Fakhretdinov. So I'm going to take Gustafsson, 29-28 decision, maybe drops the first round, dominates the last two. Yeah, risky prediction though. Andreas doesn't have a huge body of work to necessarily predict with right now, but I just think skill for skill, athleticism for athleticism, Andreas gets this done. Moving on to Robert Bryshek, the Pole, taking on Brad Tavares. I'm taking Brad Tavares. Robert Bryshek, however you say it, lost to Ihor Potieria, one of the worst fighters I've ever seen compete in the UFC. Took that fight on short notice and still laid a can of whoop ass on our boy Robert. So I'll be taking Brad Tavares with his experience and very vet-style stand-up to get this done by decision, possibly late round finish, depending on how bad the old Polish Robert Bryshek is. And I know Brad's kind of dropped a few here and there recently, but I think he still has a decent amount of fight left in him, and I think that'll be plenty. I think it'll be more than enough to beat Bryshek. So, moving on to the next fight, we have Sam Patterson and Trey Waters in the welterweight division. I will be taking Sam Patterson mainly based off his I don't know if it's necessarily improved, but he has showed a strong grappling and submission game and finishing ability on the ground here as late, and still possesses some nice finishing ability on the feet. I remember when this guy was talked about like he was the next best thing. I don't think he's that whatsoever, but I don't think Trey Waters is very good. I can't remember who he's fought his last couple fights. I was doing some research yesterday on the card, but I like Sam Patterson's octagon experience and his finishing ability to get this done against Trey Waters. I don't think Trey Waters is very dangerous. He's not a finisher, and I think Sam Patterson gets this done in like the second or third round by finishing him. I kind of like the submission play, especially with Sam Patterson, long, lanky guy as well. Look at my fade. Looks good. Looks really good. Just got a haircut. But I will be taking Sam Patterson to finish Trey Waters in the latter 2 rounds. Moving on to the next fight. Harry Hardwick, one of the I don't know if y'all have seen this clip, That's a horrible picture. Someone told him he looked like Anthony Smith, and he absolutely dogged on Anthony Smith, which is warranted. Anthony Smith is one of the most easily hated fighters in the UFC. Nevertheless, Harry Hardwick taking this fight on a little less than a week's notice after Faraz Ziam dropped out of the fight due to his grandmother's passing. I think that is a valid excuse to drop out of a fight if you don't want my opinion on that. I'm going to take Kwai Fernandez. Harry Hardwick is a featherweight. I was going to pick Hardwick. I really was. And it just kind of lapsed my brain that this fight was taking place at 155. And making a short notice debut against a guy like Kwai Fernandez, who has looked pretty good in his last fight. Can't remember the fight before that. Can't remember who he beat. There's a lot of names in the UFC. I can't remember them all. But looked pretty decent. Looked decently well-rounded. And I'm going to take him to beat Hardwick on short notice. I think he wins by decision. Hardwick's tough. Showed good poise and well-roundedness in Cage Warriors, but I think up a weight class on this short of a notice against a guy in Fernandez who possibly could be a pretty decent fighter. I don't think it's just more likely that Fernandez gets this done. I will be rooting for Hardwick though. He's pretty funny, interesting character, and a good fighter. But I don't think he'll win. Moving on to the blobber knockers, the old blubber boys, the old UFC heavyweights. Marcin Tybura taking on Ante Delija, the PFL man himself. All week I was taking Marcin Tybura, but I'm changing my pick to Ante Delija. Marcin Tybura is 39 years old. Delija, I think, is like 34. I could be wrong by that, on that. However, let's take a look at the odds real quick. Oh, they're not there. But I know this is maybe a casual take, but I do think training with Tom Aspinall, especially if you're a heavyweight fighter, has very many benefits. I think Delija is more well-rounded than Tybura. Tybura probably does have the grappling advantage. Dude, you got to quit doing that, man. Tybura does have the grappling advantage. However, I think Delija is a little more athletic. I think he'll be able to keep this on the fight majority of the time. I think he'll be a hard guy for Tybura to take down. And I think Delija, oh my, dude, hey, okay. Doug, bro, you gonna sit in my lap, dude? I think Delija is just better well-rounded. I think he's a better athlete. Keeps the fight on the feet. Think he out-damages him. I see this going to decision, possibly 29-28, 30-27 for our man Ante Delija. Even though I'm low-key a Tybura fan. People sleep on Tybura. But I honestly think Delija is a bit underestimated. I think he's a half-decent heavyweight. And it doesn't take much to be a half-decent heavyweight. So, moving on to Amir Sy taking on Brendanson Ribeiro. I'm taking Amir Sy to beat Brendanson Ribeiro. Amir Sy, even though he's coming off that loss in one of the most boring fights I've ever watched against Alonzo Minifield, Brendanson Ribeiro has showed nothing in his stint in the UFC that would make me think he can beat a guy with pretty decent stand-up in Amir Sy in the light heavyweight division. Sy will have a speed advantage, a skill advantage, and a cardio advantage. I think Ribeiro is actually a pretty bad fighter. I don't think he's good. I can't remember who he just fought. He fought not too long ago. But Sy, he does have some things. You can kind of see a few flashes in him where he could maybe be a top 15 guy. And I think Sy beats Ribeiro 9 times out of 10. I don't see any way Ribeiro really winning this fight. I see another decision win here in this fight for Amir Sy, flat out based off the fact Sy is pretty athletic, decent stand-up, and Ribeiro, very below average striking, not great grappling. I think he's kind of slow, not super athletic. So Amir Sy, I think, gets this done pretty handedly Saturday night. Moving on to the last fight of the... Oh my goodness gracious, Robert Ruchala. I don't know why it's doing it like this. Oh my goodness. I really wanted to take Robert Ruchala, coming from the KSW world. However, I'm going to be taking William Gomez. I like his experience in the UFC. I think it's very hard to win unless you're a very sought after prospect / contender coming into the UFC. I think it's very hard to get it done in your debut, especially when you're coming in from being a top dog at another promotion and fighting a guy who is pretty decent in the UFC. It is different if you're a contender coming off the regional scene and then getting matched up with someone lower level. But I like Gomez's experience and speed against Ruchala. If I'm being completely honest, I can't even remember if I've seen William Gomez fight. I'm pretty sure I have, and that's what I'm basing this off of. Can't remember who he beat or when I last saw him fight. May not even have been him. However, I was looking at Ruchala's record. Nothing really stood out on there for me. Watched a couple highlights on there. I like William Gomez's experience here in the octagon. If I recall correctly, I thought his striking was pretty crisp on the feet. Ruchala may have a grappling advantage. However, he's not like a phenomenal grappler, so I don't think he'll be able to lay and pray or dominate Gomez on the ground. So I'm going to be taking William Gomez. I'm sorry if I sound like a casual in this video. Some of these fighters, man, I don't know if it's because I'm kind of under the weather today. I'm not feeling too hot, man. Feeling kind of sick. I researched this card a lot, and everything just kind of is not sticking in my head. So it will be better now that we're moving to the main card. Patricio Pitbull taking on Losine Kieda, coming out of Octagon, the promotion over there in Europe. I'm really torn on this fight. I was thinking Pitbull all week. Yesterday, I started to lean towards Losine Kieda, and I still don't know who I'm going to pick. Why I may go with Pitbull is I think there is a chance he is able to just out-grapple Kieda with crafty, veteran grappling skills, possibly taking the back, getting on top, and doing work there and controlling Kieda. But I really like Keida's speed, explosiveness, and body shots on the feet. However, Kieda got finished. I think it was his third to last fight before this, coming into the UFC. Did get finished, but I'm going to go with Losine Kieda. I like his finishing ability on the feet. I like his speed advantage over Pitbull. Pitbull has looked very slow. That Dan Ige fight was awful. And I think the only reason he beat Dan Ige is because Dan Ige just didn't try to do much. So I'm going to take Kieda. Dude, you got to quit walking in front of the camera. I'm going to take Kieda based off his speed and athleticism and power on the feet, his ability to target the body. And I think Pitbull's kind of old, out of his prime. Wouldn't say completely washed, but I think he has just more to offer. I don't think he'll be scared. Just seeing the way he's fought before. That's my biggest worry, is Kieda kind of going out there nervous and scared, which is a big possibility. But I like him. I like him in this matchup. I think Pitbull could possibly get a round off of him if it goes to decision. But I like Keida's ability I like his volume on the feet. I'm blanking. I like his finishing ability. I think there's a good chance Kieda could go out there and finish Pitbull. However, I'm very scared Pitbull could just get his back and hold him there for multiple rounds. But I'm going to take Kieda, and I'm feeling confident in this pick. Losine Kieda. Axel Sola and Rhys McKee. Axel Sola making his UFC debut, a Frenchman, taking on a guy in Rhys McKee who is not a bad fighter. Not a bad fighter. And I'm taking Reese McKee. I looked at Axel Sola a little bit. Not coming off the best regional scenes over there in the other side of on the other side of the pond. I like Reese McKee's octagon experience in this fight. I think just with the type of guy Solo was probably fighting there on the regional scene, he hasn't seen that hasn't seen a very high level of competition. And I think Reese McKee wins this fight with his ability to damage him. That sounded so dumb. I don't know why I said that. I like Reese McKee, though. I like his experience compared to Sola. I think he's more well-rounded after looking at Sola for a little bit. And I think he just has a much better chance to win this fight and an ability to mix it up decently and throw Sola off. So I'm taking Reese McKee to win this fight. Getting into the lightweight division, Borralho and Mason Jones. I'll be taking Mason Jones. Borralho will be more explosive and more powerful. However, I like Mason Jones' ability to mix it up. I think while Borralho may push the pace early in maybe the whole first round, I think Mason Jones' ability to be solid and fundamentally sound on the feet, as well as having a good grappling game. I think that fight against Jeremy Stevens was a good fight to get ready for Mason to get ready to take on a guy like Borralho. And while Aki, like I said, is more powerful and explosive, I do think Mason Jones, because I don't think Aki is all that necessarily skillful. I think Mason Jones' ability to mix it up on the ground and on the feet will get the fight won for him this Saturday. And honestly think Mason Jones is a tad bit underrated. I think the kid's pretty good. He's an alright kid. Moving on to Modestas Bukauskas taking on Paul Craig. I'm taking Modestas Bukauskas. I think Paul Craig is completely out of his prime at this point. His only chance of winning fights are laying on his back and hoping someone falls into his guard. He has no offensive takedown ability. I think Bukauskas has improved since he signed back with the UFC. I think Bukauskas, I think people underestimate his power, and I think his ability to throw strikes from not necessarily simple angles. I think he'll catch Paul Craig in the first round and finish him early. And I just dude, Paul Craig, time to retire, dude. The old one body kick to pulling guard just isn't working. And I don't see a way Paul Craig gets Bukauskas to the ground. And I think Bukauskas is able to finish him in the first round on the feet. Moving on to the co-main event. I've seen a lot of people pick Benoit Saint Denis. And Benoit Saint Denis is taking on Mauricio Huffy. I am picking Mauricio Huffy. I think Benoit is way too slow on the feet. Generally, for the lightweight division, leaves his chin high up in the air. And I think Mauricio Huffy has the ability to absolutely decapitate Benoit Saint Denis Saturday night. I think the way Huffy strikes on the feet and the angles that he creates with his footwork and hand placement and kick placement, I think it'll be way too much for Benoit. I'm interested to see what will happen if Benoit gets it to the ground, because that is something we need to see from Mauricio Huffy. His ability to defend takedowns and his ability to grapple in general, to see if Huffy is a true contender in the lightweight division. The fighting nerd hype that he has in his fight style could propel this guy to pretty big heights in the lightweight division. So I think this is a great fight to see where Huffy really is. But I think Huffy honestly gets this done in the first round before I think Benoit gets the chance to even take it to the ground. Mauricio is just going to have a massive speed advantage. He is very good at moving his head, and his defensive movement on the feet. I don't think Benoit is going to have very many opportunities, if any, to really land any significant strikes against Huffy. So it will be interesting if this gets to the ground, though, to see if Benoit can apply top pressure and just control in general on the ground against like Huffy, or if Huffy has the grappling chops to defend himself there, get back up on his feet, and stuff takedown. And people forget, Mauricio Huffy beat one of Islam Makhachev's training partners on Dana White's Contender Series, who is a pretty good fighter, and defended takedowns and scrambled very well in that fight, and was able to pick him apart and eventually finish him on the feet. I believe he finished him, Yeah, he finished him. Watched it the other day. So, I will be taking Mauricio Huffy by first round KO. At some point, Benoit's chin is just going to be up in the air, and Mauricio Huffy is going to land either like a one-shot, two-piece, three-piece combo to Benoit Saint Denis and put him unconscious. I see this very clearly. I would always pick Huffy. For a second, I was thinking Saint Denis for his grappling ability, but then I thought I was kind of overestimating Benoit Saint Denis. And I think I was, because I think Mauricio Huffy gets this done. Benoit Saint Denis did not look very good against Kyle Prepolek, who took a fight against him on short notice on the JDM Bilal Muhammad card in Canada. And I think this is gonna be a bad ordeal for Benoit. I think the fighting nerd Mauricio Huffy, really Mauricio de Silva, don't know why he uses the last name Huffy. However, I'm a fan. He's fun to watch. Striking style is fun to watch. And I think he knocks out Benoit Saint Denis. This is also will be interesting to see how much power Huffy really possesses in his strikes. His last knockout was against Bobby Green, who about anybody could chin at this point. Bobby Green, or King Green. King Green is at the point where about anybody can knock him out in the lightweight division with his glass chin. So, I think this is a true and tidy test for Mauricio Huffy, and I think he will pass with an A++. So, moving on to the main event. We got Nasruddin Imavov taking on the first fighting nerd, Caio Borralho. Now, this whole time I was going to take Imavov. These past couple days, I've been thinking about it. I've been leaning towards Caio Borralho. I like what he's done on the ground in his past fights. I like he's very well-rounded, very complete fighter. But I'm taking Nasruddin Imavov. I think on the feet, Caio will be very vulnerable to Nasruddin. Nasruddin has fought most of the cream of the crop in the middleweight division. Caio Borralho's best win was against Jared Cannonier, when Jared Cannonier gave him quite a few scares in that fight. And my whole logic is, if Jared Cannonier at 40-plus years old is hitting you and cutting open your face in a 5-round fight, Nasruddin Imavov is going to put a hurting on you. Nasruddin is very, very good on the feet, very powerful, very accurate hands. I think Nasruddin has a pretty good size advantage on Borralho as well. I think he will, if Borralho decides he wants to take this to the ground, even though I think this will be a primarily stand-up fight. I think Nasruddin stuffs the takedowns, and I think with Nasruddin's improved cardios over this past year, really, I don't think Caio has a necessarily huge grappling advantage over him. So I'll be taking Imavov by 4th round finish. I'm going to take Nasruddin Imavov by 4th round finish on the feet. A nice 1-2 after beating up Borralho for a good amount of time in that fight. I almost want to take Caio. Nah, I'm sticking with Nasruddin, man. His boxing's really good. He's going to shell up nice. Caio doesn't attack the body enough for me to think that he'll be able to put some good damage on Nasruddin on the feet. I think Nasruddin's faster on the feet. I think Borralho throws strikes a lot of the times that leaves him open, that leaves him very vulnerable and open on the feet. And I think Nasruddin's the guy that will capitalize on that. And he has a good amount of power in his hands and in his shots. And I think he will find a shot in the 4th round to put out Caio Borralho. And that is my final prediction. Guys, let me know your predictions in the comments. I'm sorry this may have not been the best video. I am feeling ill, and I apologize. I was thinking about making this video tomorrow night, but I have to work this weekend, and I could end up getting busy, and I know I had the time to make the video tonight, so I went ahead and made it. I'm sorry if it's not the same thing that, the couple of people that maybe watch my videos enjoy, So I'm sorry about that. But let me know what you think about my picks in the comments below. And drop your co-main and main event picks in the comments. Team France, Team Fighting Nerds. I'm Team Imavov and Team Ruffy this Saturday. Solid card. Can't wait to watch. I'll have the college football on the laptop. It'll be a good Saturday for me. I have no social life, so it's perfect. Please like and subscribe. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please. Please. Anyways, guys, I love you if you've watched this whole video. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Christ is King.